everyone, and welcome to Candid Conversations with Dhillon, a Building Women Empowered initiative, empowering women everywhere. What is candid conversation? Well, let's begin with the word candid. Candid means honest, truthful, and frank. What does conversation mean? Conversation means when two or more people get together and have a little chat and exchange ideas. So when you bring those two words together, you get Candid Conversations with Dhillon. That's me. I strongly believe that every woman has a unique life experience and it can be personal or professional. But by sharing these life experiences on this show, not only will you find your voice, but you will inspire other women to find their voice too. Through these personal stories, which are unfiltered and uncensored and straight from the heart, women will empower other women to make incredible things happen. My goal is to empower you, and you empower me, and together we empower women everywhere. I want every woman and girl to know that her voice can and will change the world. So if you know of any woman that has a story to share, then my contact information is on the screen. Marilyn Monroe said that give a girl the right pair of shoes and she will conquer the world. I believe that if you give a woman a voice, she will conquer anything and everything. Let our voice be that revolution for change. After all, a woman is a full circle, for within her, she has the power to create, to nurture, and transform. Enjoy the show. Today's show, we're going to be talking about grief and how to deal with this emotion. Well, what is grief? Grief is a very strong, very overwhelming response and emotion for people, regardless of if their sadness has stemmed from the loss of a loved one or even from a breakup or a situation that they've experienced. People will feel numb, removed from daily life, unable to carry on with their normal duties, and beyond saddened with their sense of loss. Grief is a very natural reaction to this loss, but it cannot always be controlled without seeking help. And there's so many stages of the grieving process. Many people will choose to live in denial or think that they're going to just magically wake up one morning to find that this emotion has disappeared. Today, our guest, Rima Advani, will share her own personal journey of loss and what she did to reduce or slowly overcome this. Rima is a realtor working with Legacy Real Estate in Fremont. She was married to Mukesh in 1993. They met in Dubai and then in 1996 moved to the United States. They had an amazing marriage with two beautiful kids, a son and a daughter, who are both young adults now, 22 and 20, and are doing very well in their fields. In spring of 2016, her husband Mukesh had a dry cough which just wasn't going away. On his third visit to the doctor, an X-ray of the lungs was done and they were told that they suspected him to have TB, a strong possibility since he had lived until the age of 26 in India. But later, he was diagnosed for metastatic lung cancer, and exactly a year later, he passed away. It's been 5 years since he passed away, and finally, she has learned to take control of life with the help of a healing coach, Nivedita Ganpati. Rima shares a journey of how she has dealt with this tragic loss by getting the answers she needed from seeking help. Well, Rima, welcome to our show, Candid Conversations. It's an honor to have you, and I'm so glad to connect after so many years with you.
Thank you, Rennu. It's a privilege to be here with you.
And I want to begin by saying I'm really sorry to hear about Mukesh. I had no idea. So when you told me and shared that with me, it was really sad. And my sincere condolences go out to the family.
Thank you. Yeah, we've come a long way. Thank you.
So, I have had friends as well that have gone through losses of their spouses, and, I see them very often, and it's tough. I mean, I actually went to visit somebody today, and it was hard for me to even sit in the office, knowing that just last year I'd gone there and seen him and he was there. So that presence was still felt. So I want to begin by saying, let's talk a little bit about Mukesh. And, you mentioned that he had this dry cough. So let's begin from there. He was perfectly healthy. Was he a smoker? I mean, how did it start?
No. So he just had a very mild cough. It was around springtime. So we thought it could be allergies. And we were actually building our home. And we
Hmm.
both used to visit the home every day. So when we
Okay.
went to the doctor, she thought it's probably dust or something that's causing this.
So
So
he was not a smoker.
no, he was not a smoker. And then I will come back to you on this one because the point
Okay.
is there's such a social stigma
Yes.
against being smokers, right?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
sad part is right now there is a huge research going on. Asians, especially, we are
Hmm.
most affected under the age of 50 who are
Hmm.
non-smokers are
Hmm.
at a very high risk for lung cancer.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why
Interesting.
it makes it more hurtful. You know what I mean? In the sense when you
Yes.
have breast cancer, nobody tells you how many glasses of wine were you drinking.
Right.
But with
Right.
a lung cancer, the automatic
That's the
question,
first question.
yeah.
Okay.
But it kind
Probably
of
learn
for
something.
the family, it hits really
Yes.
hard. It's
So
like,
just a dry cough, not a big deal. Went to the doctor, thought it was
yeah,
allergies.
thought it was allergies. Then after a few days, it still didn't go. Then she ordered an X-ray, and the X-ray showed some images, and she thought, okay, could be he has tuberculosis. And even that was like a tough diagnosis because they kind of the CDC requirements ask you to be isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So he was isolated for 3 days at the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, and it was a journey. And at that time, I was waiting because they do a sputum test every
Hmm.
single day for 3 days
Right.
until it comes negative. And every time the sputum test came negative, I was celebrating. I was like, "Wow, TB nahi hai. Wow, TB nahi hai."
Yeah.
Only to
Yeah.
find out that it was way worse. Because on the third day, when the sputum test came negative, they did a biopsy and they discharged him because now he was ready to go and mingle with the people,
Right.
but we didn't know what news we were going to get next. So the
Mm-hmm.
next was it was lung cancer, and then we still had some hope because
What stage was it? Have they determined what stage it was, or
yeah, it was stage 4, but they still had
already?
hope. Yeah, they still had hope because the issue is the lung is so big, it's
Hmm.
very easy to miss it. And they
Right.
still were thinking we could do a lobectomy and then cut off a part of the lung. So
Right.
anytime when there's surgery involved, it's great news for cancer
Hmm.
people
Right.
because something can be cut off and taken care of. But in his case, it's just that the ball just went rolling so fast. Next, like one news after another, it was like, okay, it's lobectomy is not going to be possible, and now we'll do a PET scan. It's all over his body. It had gone into the brain,
It spread so
and
quickly, and all the symptoms he had was a cough.
nothing. All he had was a dry cough. And the reason
Wow.
why we ignore the dry cough is also because he had blood pressure, and some of the medications have a side effect is dry
Mhm.
cough. So we kept thinking it's because it was
Right.
very very mild, and within few days we found out it's metastatic. It's stage 4. He's gonna die in 6 months to 12 months. That's all he had to live. And the thing is, like over here in this country, they just tell it to you so bluntly. I mean, it's very nice in a way because they kind of prepare you, but
Right.
for the patient, it's kind of so scary because it's like, this is it, this is all I got, right? So
Wow.
he didn't absorb it very well, and it was hard for me also, right? Because I just didn't know what to tell the kids, and I didn't know what to tell his family, right? But I had to tell everybody because this was his last time to be with all of them, right? Like
Mhm.
international, nationally, whoever I had to reach out to. And and then I fought my way out from the local hospital to get him to Stanford
Mhm.
because I didn't want to accept he was going to live only for 6 months to 12 months. I was like, I'm in
Mhm.
America. We have the best of the doctors here. So I took
Right.
him to Stanford, and the doctor was very optimistic. She said, I have this treatment, I have that treatment. At one point, we even discussed, will he live for 10 years? She said, yes, that's a possibility. So we got hopeful again, all over again. We
Yeah.
started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and we were
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to go, and all that positive thing. And he was very, very religious. He would chant the Hanuman Chalisa all his life. And all of that came back into place.
Right.
But unfortunately, he didn't respond to any of the
With the treat.
treatments. None of them worked. And the doctor tried very, very hard. And I mean, you know what? Then at some point, I realized now we just have to accept what it is.
Hmm.
And this is his answer always, because sometimes the doctors would come and tell him, do you know you have a terminal illness? Do you know you're going to die? And then he would say, I'll just go with the flow. I'm just here and
Wow.
I will just handle
But
it
that's
the way
probably a
it's
very, very hard thing to go through because, it's one thing when you lose somebody suddenly to, a heart attack or an accident. I mean, even that's hard to accept. But here, when you know somebody's going to go every day, you just don't know when it's going to happen. You're living basically for the moment.
Right. But also there is, you know what, I would take that also positively, Renu, because we had time to say
Yeah.
our goodbyes. We
Yeah.
had time to take care of some financial things that we needed to.
Mhm.
It was hard, really hard on the kids
Yeah.
because they knew the death is coming, it's looming here, but when it's
Yeah.
going to come, how it's going to come was a question mark.
Mhm.
But then we were so hopeful because he really, really wanted to live.
Of course.
He
How
he
old was he?
he was 51 when he passed away.
Wow.
He was diagnosed at 50, right after his 50th party that we had. And I told him, you know, Mukesh, best years of our life are yet to come.
Mhm.
And this is how
Wow.
it just happened. And
Did he suffer a lot, or
yeah, it was pretty
did
bad.
it spread everywhere?
It had spread everywhere, and then just none of the treatments were working. So he started cough. He used to cough a lot in the house, and that used to kind of be difficult on the kids because the entire house would echo, and then it was hard for him to sleep at night.
Hmm.
And then towards the end, he was coughing a lot of blood,
Yeah.
and it was really hard, you know,
Really
watching him with
hard.
swollen feet. And I think that whole journey of that 1 year, like look at it that way, like, you know, for people who lose their family members, you know, all of a sudden, they never got to say goodbye. Yes, right? So they feel, okay, I was in a better position. But for me, also, it was like, it's like slow poison. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
it is.
every day
It's
you're,
difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, we've had to go through that where we had to watch somebody, and it's very hard for 11 days. Just it's very difficult. And how do you say your goodbye? You just don't think it's going to be your final goodbye, right? You still have that hope till
oh,
the
yes,
end. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
I'm
And we
so
were
sorry to
very
hear that.
hopeful.
And
Yeah.
I commend you for being able to talk about it because a lot of people will close up completely, and not want to talk about it. And especially, in our culture, in our Asian Indian culture, they want to mourn permanently. And
Right.
I really feel that, you can't mourn permanently because life has to go on. And it sounds cruel, but we have to accept it. Life has to go on for the children, for yourself, and for everybody around. So, you mentioned to me that you have gone through getting a lot of help and it's worked wonders for you. And I really wanted that to be shared with our audience because I know there are many women out there that will not go and seek help, will continue to stay at home. I don't want to use the word brood, but they will just stay at home, resort to wearing white, which I still don't comprehend why, and basically give up on living. And I'm sure if the spouses were around, that is not something they would want to see their wives go through. So if you could share what made you, I mean, what the steps of grieving for you, and then what made you make a decision to say, no, I need to go get help, and when did that happen?
Okay. So asking for help, I initially started only for the kids. I was always worried about them because back then my daughter was a ninth grader, my son was a junior at Mission San Jose High School. And we, the Indian parents, where we want our kids to, you know, thrive and do well.
Right.
So they had all that academic stress. So I worked on them. I did reach out to all sorts of, counselors at school, counselors through the hospital to get them therapy. And they were actively getting therapy, but I ignored myself.
Mhm.
And I think now, after 5 years, I realized that I need to take charge of my life because if I don't, depression is such a slippery slope. You just don't know when it's
Yeah.
going to engulf you. It's just going to
Yeah.
take you around.
Yeah.
And this year, I did try the traditional therapy, the doctors here, but I couldn't resonate with them for some reason. I wasn't lucky. Both my kids were lucky. They did meet great doctors. They made the connection, but I did not. I just couldn't open up to my therapist. But this year, somebody invited me to meet Nivedita Ganapati. She's a healing coach out of Palo Alto.
Okay.
And she shared a video with me and she said, listen to this and see how you feel, if you can resonate with her personality. She's done wonders for me. You may connect, you may not connect, but this is something that I would like you to try.
Hmm.
And then the first video that I ever watched was about forgiveness. And what Nivedita says over there is forgiveness is the first step to healing. And healing in sense, if you don't learn to forgive yourself, You're just not, because this was the thing, right? Cancer. So what did I do wrong? What did I cook for him? Were my utensils not correct? Were my containers not correct? Did we smoke? Like, did we, he wasn't a smoker, but then we are from India, right? So did we surround ourselves to areas where there was pollution? So we're always looking for faults and
Fault.
things we could
Like,
have
where did
done
I go
right, right?
wrong?
Where did
Where
I
did
go
I
wrong?
go
Why
wrong?
my family? Why us? Why
Why
everybody
me?
else
Yeah.
exactly, why everyone else is living such a great life, and all of this had to happen to us, right? So all of these questions were there. And then when I watched that video, it was like a 30-minute video, but it had such an impact on me, Renu. It just told me that this is it. Until you don't learn to accept the situation for what it is and understand what it was here to teach you, you're just going to stay in that past, and nothing's just going to get better. And I heard that video over and over and over again, and it started making so much sense, because the video keeps saying, don't shoot the messenger, get the message. There's a message in everything that's happening in our life. So we have to accept things the way they are, the way they were meant to be, and have gratitude for what we still have, right? So
Right.
then I started looking at, okay, I have these beautiful kids. My son looks just like him. My daughter's personality is just like him. And they both take so much pride in, whatever he did, and how he brought us to America. We came here because of him. I mean, they were born here, but the fact that we are in America is because he was into tech field and he wanted to be here. So much gratitude, right? Imagine being in this country versus being back in India with no social security, no resources like your platform, right? So this openness, right? Like where you would, you're a widow, you have to wear white, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we
Right.
feel so liberated. So I started counting my blessings. Hey,
Yeah.
I can actually get dressed. I can go out. My kids are doing so well, So instead of complaining about the past, she reminded me, she said, Rima, he was with you for 24 years. You had a fantastic marriage. That's it. His journey ended there. Now it's your turn. Lift yourself and get out of it. And I'll be honest, like I met her for one session. She did a diagnostic session, and she reminded me, stop being a victim. You cannot be a victim in this thing, and you have to empower yourself, and you have to create the rest of your life. And a month later, I think you created this group. And it's the same, you know what? It's like the
Yeah.
universe is
It's
telling
like
you this is
things
what you're
started
looking
happening.
for. These are the words that you're looking for.
Right.
And that's why I think on your platform, somebody had mentioned about a lady's husband having cancer. That's when I reached out to you, and I was like,
Right.
if there's anything I can do, I would. So I think it's like, when you make that will that you want to make that change in life, that's when things will that's the kind of energy you're going to get. And I'm able to see that, right? So much more I started believing that I have a chance to create the rest of, my
Right.
future, rather than living in self-pity and saying, this happened and that happened. And all that negativity was actually attracting a lot of more negativity in my life.
Yeah.
And this way I feel like when I'm in control of my emotions, I'm a better mother. I'm a better daughter to my mom, because earlier I would always be like, it was always about me. Nobody understands me, what I'm going through. I have this, now suddenly it's like I'm so much in control of everything that I feel I have something to give back, right? I can give love to my family. I can share my story. So I have this courage to, even say what I'm going through. Earlier, if you had met me 2 years ago, I would have been crying right now. I would have not had the courage to speak up, because it would be like, as if, they must have done some bad deeds. That's why they are here. That's why they're suffering. Now I look at it in a very, very different fashion. This is how it was meant to be. This is it, and then we just need to move on. And I'm not the only one. There are so many more families,
Yes.
so
Many
many.
families. And I think, when you go through a loss that comes so close to home, and, in a country you mentioned like this, where we have access to all the, the best healthcare, whatever. And sometimes people, very wealthy people, have so much money, but they can't buy that extra day of life. It really shakes you up a little bit. I mean, my ex-husband passed away 3 years ago, and even being an ex-husband, we were next to his bedside. But watching him die, reminded me that we get into this rat race of just work, work, work in this country, and we forget to enjoy life. And now my attitude is, got to live every day like it's going to be your last day.
That is my phrase right here. You won't believe it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, in my notes, literally live life like it's the last night of your
That's,
life. That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
message to everybody because
yeah.
only then we will appreciate what we got. We're just so
Yes.
busy complaining.
Yeah. Busy complaining, busy always thinking about tomorrow, and always busy trying to do more than what we already have or get more. That I think we forget. So the shake up for me was I'd become a workaholic and I was not spending the quality time that I needed. And now I've said no, and you just need to slow down and wrap it up. Even if somebody says stay on for an extra hour at work, no, call it quits, go home and do what you want to do. And that's one of the reasons I started this group, is because I've been wanting to do this for years, but never got the time to do it because I was too busy doing other things.
And
And I
you're
really
doing
felt
such a fabulous job.
so
You
I
are.
really felt that
You
this
are
was.
doing such a fabulous
Oh,
job.
thank you, thank you. Really want to get everybody together, and on a platform like this, listening to women like yourself, it'll resonate with somebody else sitting at home who's not managed to get out of the grieving process. And I don't think we'll never stop grieving. You'll
Hmm.
never stop grieving. But I think if we can, and but I think if you can appreciate, like Nivedita said, that he gave you 24 years, and you consider yourself the lucky one that I got 24 years with him, and his journey has stopped, but my journey still continues. I think that's so important to remember.
Right.
What would your message be to parents, or especially women and their children? You took your kids to counseling right away. Some of them don't do that. What is your message? How important is counseling?
I think counseling is extremely important because the thing is, and also at that time when you're grieving yourself, there's not much you can offer to your
Yeah,
kids because
yeah,
you're so depleted yourself as it
yeah,
is. And it's like, is my pain bigger? Is his pain bigger? I mean, it's even so hard to get out of bed, right? So
right.
I'm so, so grateful for the fact that in this country, we don't have too much of a stigma against mental health.
Mm.
Resources are available, and so I'm a lot of gratitude for that. So both the kids had immense help. There were people trying to teach them, and my son was actually suffering so much in high school. He stopped attending certain classes, and he would just play video games. And the therapist called me, and she said, "Doesn't matter. It's all right." Because he's trying to avoid the
Yeah,
situation by
yeah,
doing what he's doing. It's okay if he takes a gap year. It's
right,
okay. It's all
right.
right. Just for someone to tell you it's okay to do this,
Yeah,
it just makes you feel so much more calm. Though he did graduate on time, everything happened. But at that moment, when you have that fear, oh, my husband's dying, my son is struggling, my daughter is going through, she's in ninth grade, what is she going to do? You know what I mean? Like all of those stresses. But someone to just even, like, while I used to be in the hospital, sometimes the therapist would call me because Mukesh, we used to be admitted several times at
so you
Stanford
started
Hospital.
therapy before he
Oh,
passed away?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like
Oh,
as soon as
okay,
he got diagnosed.
okay,
Because
all right.
your dad's going to die. So what are you going to do? Are you going to study or are you going to worry when he's going to die? So I
Right.
actually started therapy for them while
Before.
he was
Oh, that's
going through.
amazing. Yeah,
Yes,
rather than wait until the whole process is over.
because I think that time they needed to understand what's happening, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, that whole thing that it's a terminal illness,
yeah,
that's it. This is, how do you deal? Do you stop
yeah,
going to classes?
yeah,
And how do you get your grades? Because my dad's gone for a doctor's appointment. What is he going to say today? Because it was hard for them to
right.
focus on their classes, right?
With every day something new happening. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, every day
Oh,
something new happening. So yeah, therapy was very, very important. And I think they both did a great job with that. It just didn't work for me. So that's why I'm like,
so then
find
you
what
waited
will
about
work for
5 years before you actually got help?
Yeah, and that's the mistake I made, and that's what Nivedita reminded me. The word self-love, I'd never heard of self-love.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing right now, like taking time for yourself.
Yeah.
Because until we are not feeling well and we are not out there, we can't take
We
care of
can't take care of
anybody
other
else
people.
around
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And the
And I
thing
think as women, and again, going back to our culture as well, we are taught to only look after, we're taught to be people pleasers. We're never taught to focus on ourselves. I mean, what do we hear our whole lives, right? First, you're growing up, you keep your family happy and you're getting good grades for your parents. Then you get married, now you have to keep your in laws happy and your husband happy. And then the kids come, and we suddenly just become backbenchers, right? And
yeah,
I think it only hits women 50s and 60s. You wake up and everybody's kids are graduated and gone,
yeah,
and maybe husband's out there playing golf somewhere and he's got his own social friends, and you've been left Now
Right.
it's your turn, but you don't have the energy to do it. And then people are reaching out for self-love, and that should have started way back. Way
Yes.
back, yeah.
Yes. Yes, and that's the message I would like to give everybody, that don't wait for you to be in a situation like me where you realize I need self-love while you're healthy, while you're in good state, everything's going good. Do exercise self-love, because I think that's the most important thing we all, like, not only we women, like each individual needs to
Everybody
do
needs
that. We
self-love,
need, but
yeah.
I think for some reason, like you said, the Indian women have more of that thing,
Well, we worry about what
first.
other, it's kya kariye, you're going on a vacation, apne bacche ko chhod ke, how can you leave your
Right.
kids and go?
Yeah.
Why not? Daddies go all the time.
Right.
But these kind of little stigmas are
Yeah.
stuck with us, and I think we have to get out of that. And especially now that we're living in this country and we're earning and we're independent, it's so important.
It's
So
a
important.
blessing. It's a
Yeah.
blessing that we are here.
So, how do you keep yourself busy now? What are your thoughts? I mean, I know you're a realtor, very successful realtor. How are you keeping yourself busy? Your kids are grown up.
Yeah, my kids are grown up. So ever since I started working with Nivedita, I've been actually taking some courses with her.
Mhm.
And then she teaches things to do like every day. So I take out time almost like an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening,
Okay.
and that's kind of self-healing, right? And that's really, really working for me because, like you said, I didn't take out time to do stuff like that. So I think that I've started treating that more like my vitamins for the day. So
Uh-huh.
she taught me some mantras to do.
Okay.
So I start my day with mantras, just a few ones. I'm not very religious. I'm not the kind who'll spend hours doing puja in the temple, but just anything that works for you, right? Like
Right.
just reminding yourself that there is a universe, everything's going to
Mhm.
be great. He has your back, for you. Like someone out there is there protecting you,
Right.
and it'll come to you in any form. You just have to ask,
Right.
believe, and then it'll come to you, and
Right.
then you receive it. So I think I've been working a lot on that. So I'm in a pause state. I was trying to socialize, going out a lot, but I felt at some point I was masking my feelings,
Mm.
and I wasn't really working on the deeper
Right.
problems of being able to convert those negative emotions
Mhm.
to positive emotions.
Right.
So I'm working on self-healing right now.
Okay.
But I do socialize a lot. I
That's
do
good.
have I have a great friend group who supported me during this journey. While Mukesh was sick, they were there to give us rides to the hospital, to the school, to everywhere, make food for them. The kind of support we had was unbelievable. But at some point, I had to look inwards. I mean, all that stuff outwards was there, but inside I was really, really getting depleted, and I was very, very shallow.
Did you end up finishing building your house?
Yes, we did. He did get to live here for a year.
He did.
He
Okay. That's
did. We
wonderful.
did. We did a part at our house. The
Okay.
Milpitas Gurdwara people were here. We had a
Okay.
kirtan. We invited all our friends. So you know what? I've celebrated his 51st birthday in style, and I think that's the message also, that we need to celebrate life.
Yes.
We just need to
Absolutely.
hold on to all our good times rather
Absolutely.
than just always,
I have a dear friend. I call her Bobby, and uh, her husband, who I considered my brother, passed away, but he told her before passing that you will not stop celebrating your birthday. You will continue to celebrate it, and you will not wear white. He said, you continue to live life as if I'm still next to you. You go where you need to go. Don't stop.
Right.
And it's tough for her. She has a tough days as well, but we
Yeah,
fully
sure.
support her on that because, yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for, sharing such personal and intense feelings. So, in closing, to all the ladies out there that are listening today who've not taken that step, what's your message?
So this message is not only for women in my situation. There is just this other thing that I wanted to bring up today was, all of us, while we are healthy, do what's important. Go get some life insurance if you can, please. Let the men not have a social stigma that, oh, mera insurance kyun karwa rahi hai? Because money does help. I mean, it's a
Yes.
basic thing. Go do your estate planning. We live in California. We have these big, beautiful homes. Don't
Yeah.
let them go to probate. Do what you got to do. You've worked hard for, every dollar that you made. Try and hold on to that. And apart from that, the last message is self-love. Just love yourself, and only then you'll be able to radiate that positive energy, and bring out the best in everybody else around you.
I'm so glad you touched on the financial part, because that's again something that people want to live in denial. And there is this huge stigma about life insurance. Okay, what, you want me to get life insurance? You want me to go? They don't realize that the money, it's very expensive to die in this country. Is very expensive. And yeah, probate and all this stuff. People don't realize they don't even make wills.
Right.
Yeah. And it's only when none of us go and venture out into the legal system. Even when I went through my first divorce, I didn't know anything about divorce. And then it's a rude awakening when you go out and discover, my God, I should have been on this property, or I should have signed this paper. What was I doing at the time?
Right.
So absolutely.
Small things, you know what? They don't cost too much in the beginning, but in the long term, they have such a huge impact. So that's one way of caring for your family. So I think if women are shy to say that to their husband, they should say, since you love your family so much, we all need to make that. And it's not necessarily the men need to buy it. We women need to buy it too.
Both sides,
it's like both ways. Do the best you can do, for your family, right? Like small things. It was in place for us, so it was a lot simpler, But imagine, I worry about people who don't have the money, and they don't have, if both the people passed away in an accident and the house goes into probate. I mean, and not only probate, it's not just the financial aspect. The beauty of writing these wills is also you can literally say how you want to be cremated, what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Every
medical decisions. Yes.
Every little thing can be so beautifully laid out. There is no discrepancies, no fights amongst the children. They know exactly this is how our parents wanted to do.
Yes. That's a whole new subject. And I definitely have to bring Nivedita on this show. I mean, she sounds amazing, and we definitely want to bring her on the show so that she can share what she does. But again, Rima, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And our support goes out to you and the kids. And rest in peace, Mukesh, wherever you are. I mean, he's left a wonderful family back here, and I'm sure he's beaming from wherever he is about his kids. I mean, I remember your kids when they were little, and I would love to see them now again. So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Very well now. Thank you. And thank you. Lots of gratitude.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Let us remember that this emotion of losing a loved one may never go away. And why should it? Because after all, you've spent important minutes of your life with this person that you loved. Mourning can last for months or years, but by seeking the help you need for yourself, you can help reduce the pain and learn to deal with this loss. There is nothing wrong with seeking professional help, and we hope that today's show of Candid Conversation has reflected this message of overcoming any stigma about getting professional help when needed. Until next time, remember, we may never overcome the loss of a loved one completely, but we can definitely learn to deal with the loss and evolve from it. I hope you enjoyed the show, and until next time, keep smiling and be empowered.